Before I met our next guest, I had heard stories about why she rarely does interviews. She's only done a handful in the last 8 years. I had heard she's extremely shy and very private. The stories are true. Believe it or not, veteran performer Ann-Margret was very nervous about this interview. But when she hits the stage, she's an entirely different person. When Ann-Margret is performing, lock up your menfolk gals, because she'll take their hearts with her. The name is Ann-Margret, not Ann, not Annie, or Ms. Margaret. It's Ann-Margret. She dropped the last name Olsson when she got into show business. She wanted to protect her family from any negative publicity. But Anna and Gustav Olsson would have had little to fear. Ann-Margret Olsson gave them much to boast about. Ann-Margret and her mother came to the States when the child was 6, but she'd already been performing for friends and relatives in her small Swedish hometown. So how small was it?
There were only 150 people, including cows and horses.
As a Chicago teenager, she had a memorable audition for the Ted Mack Amateur Hour.
Oh, that's right. I remember what happened.
What happened?
I can't believe it. I now remember I was 16 years old, and I had just gotten chicken pox. And all over my face, maybe one spot right here or something, but they were all on my face.
But the spots didn't hide her talent. Soon after the Ted Mack show, George Burns discovered her and added the singer-dancer to his Las Vegas act. She did the Jack Benny show, then made her film debut in 1961 with a third legend.
You did A Pocketful of Miracles, which was your first movie. You played Betty Davis's daughter. What was it like working with her?
I was so nervous. I was so nervous. In 8th grade, I had done one play, and that was it. So the first day of work I was just petrified, and she was so wonderful to me. She was absolutely wonderful to me.
She spent the next 9 years shaking on screen and purring with that voice that rises above a sultry whisper only for emphasis.
Older men, and I'm gonna find them.
She was Hollywood's favorite sex kitten, and her ability to collect bows didn't stop on screen. In real life, she was romantically linked with Eddie Fisher, Richard Chamberlain, and among others, Elvis.
Meet me at the University Gymnasium tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and we'll, dance.
Oh, he was great. He was just great. He was very funny, an extremely funny man, and he was a big tease. He loved to tease.
But not even the king was man enough to win the starlet away from her true love. On May 8, 1967, Ann-Margret married Roger Smith, then star of 77 Sunset Strip and Mr. Roberts. She helped Roger raise his 3 children.
You said that you were attracted to him because of his strength. What about his strength? What did you find in him that you needed?
His protectiveness. I always feel really protected when I'm with him.
Roger gave up his own acting career and took up managing hers, helping land her the coveted role of Bobby Templeton in Carnal Knowledge in 1971. She played opposite Jack Nicholson.
You spend more time in bed than any other human being past the age of 6 months than I ever heard of.
The reason I sleep all day is because I can't stand my life.
What life?
Sleeping all day!
She won an Oscar nomination and her first of 5 Golden Globes for that performance. Along with the statues, she won the respect of Hollywood as a serious actress. All the while, she continued her showgirl career, even though it was hard on her nervous system.
I understand that in the beginning, many years ago, you would actually get ill before a performance.
Not too many years ago. That was, actually, I'll tell you exactly when it was. It was 18 years ago, right before I had my big accident.
She was performing in Lake Tahoe when some scaffolding she was perched on crumbled and sent her face down to the orchestra pit 22 feet below. She was in a coma for 3 days.
I think because after I awakened from that coma, from that accident, and realized that I was going to be just fine, I just was so grateful that I was spared for some reason, that this calm came over me.
That was the cure for her stage fright. She jokes now that it's this multi-carat diamond that Roger brought to her in her hospital bed that took away the pain of the broken jaw and cheekbones. What a potent potion. 10 weeks later, Ann-Margret was back strutting her considerable stuff on stage and in television specials.
That's when the music takes me to a bright day.
Her return to the screen after the accident and the rock opera Tommy won her a second Oscar nomination and another Golden Globe.
And Tommy doesn't know what day it is. He doesn't know who Jesus was or what praying is. How can he be saved?
Ann-Margret suffered a second setback in 1980. Husband Roger Smith was diagnosed as having MG, myasthenia gravis, a neuromuscular disease. She left her career for nearly 6 years to care for the man who had been her rock.
He was very ill for a while, and his disease is now in remission.
Yes. Yeah.
But during that time, you were his strength.
I tried to be. I mean, I did things that needed to be done.
But did you ever think you'd see yourself in that role with your husband?
Never. Never in a million years.
Do you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I'd like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle. 'Cause you are the wind beneath my wings.
Your husband's illness, if it comes back, it could be fatal. How could you, since he has pretty well directed your career, how
I
could
don't
you
think
go
that
on?
way. I don't think that way.
Roger's now looking fit and is back producing and directing his wife's career. In the past few years, she scored 3 Emmy nominations for performances in television, movies, won critical acclaim in her most recent of her 38 films, and in November of '88, she took the advice of the other man she listens to, George Burns.
And he said, you know, Annie, you got to get back there on stage. And he said, you know, it's fine to do all the dramatic things and everything. You can always do that, but you have to get back on stage.
She did. She just finished another run at Caesar's Palace, singing and dancing her 49-year-old feet off to sold-out crowds.
You are, I would say, maybe a size 2. You look smaller than that. How do you maintain that figure?
Let's see. I walk and I run. We have a gym at the house. Roger last year built me some stairs. I think 187 stairs. He asked me if I wanted one of those machines, those stair machines, or if I wanted him to build some stairs out in the yard. I love being outside, so I said out in the yard. So I just keep running up, and for stamina, running up and down and up and down and up and down.
And stamina she needs. This hour and a half is a workout for the shapely Swede, and there's no rest for the weary. When she's not on stage, she can be found skiing. That's what she calls relaxing, at the place she and Roger just bought in Aspen. The Smith house has all the Colorado accoutrements.
We have a pickup truck.
A pickup truck?
Uh-huh.
The pickup truck. Who drives it?
We both do.
You with a pickup truck?
I love it. Let's see, we've got Harley motorcycles, you know, 1,000 Sportsters.
Surprised? Well, there's much that's surprising about mysterious Ann-Margret. She's a private, fragile-appearing creature who still gets cold, clammy hands during an interview.
Yeah, your hands are freezing.
Yet who turns absolute dynamo on stage? A woman who stood by her man in sickness and in health, as he'd done for her in the most un-Hollywood of fashions. In her film, Bye Bye Birdie, a 20-year-old Ann-Margret sang a song that the 49-year-old star still sings in her act today.
There's music to play, places to go.
People to see.
The first time around, she couldn't have known how much real living, good and bad, she was going to be doing. This time around, Ann-Margret knows what the song means.
Ann-Margret and Roger Smith bring their Las Vegas act to Atlanta's Fox Theater starting May 15.